Welcome to Date Yourself, the podcast. I'm your host, Amber, and no matter if you're married or single, I think the world would be a better place if we all dated ourselves. During this podcast, we discuss being unapologetically yourself, ditching the bullshit, and tuning into more peace by making joy a choice. Through listening to this podcast, you might create a lifelong glow up, just saying. It's time you start appreciating yourself more and date yourself. If you're ready to step into your truest expression, this episode is for you. I want to start off this episode with a question for you, which is, why are you hiding? Why are you hiding? Because we need to see who you are within your fullest expression, because that way you can find your people. You can connect with those who see pieces of themselves within you. That is the way that you're going to attract your people. I've personally gone through a huge growth chapter where I chose to stop hiding myself and to really get out there as kind of this more embodied version of myself. But that felt really scary for a long time, and I've grown over time to share more parts of myself. And through doing that, I really have found my people, and also what lights me up, what doesn't. I found that I have a lot more self-respect and a lot more boundaries through also expressing myself in my truest form, in my truest expression. What that means is different for everybody, right? And we're all on different parts of our journey of finding ourselves, first of all, and then to share more parts of ourselves that we might feel ashamed of, or we have been told that we need to keep in. And so this is kind of the path of breaking free from what you've been told and the boxes that you have been placed in, but also put yourself in, maybe subconsciously. And so another question is, are you placed in a box? Or are you really able to be truly, freely yourself without holding yourself back? And if you feel like there is truth in knowing that you're kind of held back in some ways, what box are you placed in that is keeping you stuck there? And I say stuck, but I don't really believe in being stuck. I just believe that we might need to still figure out why we have put labels on ourselves or limitations. And we might need to further investigate why we are still being in that place. And if we feel comfortable enough to step out of it. And this is such a personal journey, right? To feel ready to be more vulnerable, to show more of yourself, or to break out of different types of molds that you've been in. And to look for who that is, that truest expression. It's a pretty beautiful, confrontational journey, but I truly think that it can set you free if you express more of yourself and accept yourself fully. Because this journey to finding your people and being more of who you are, to stop hiding, also means that you need to fully accept yourself. And most of the time what I see happening and what I've done myself for many years is we try to stay in this box because that way other people will accept us. At least that's what we believe, right? We have been brought up with a certain type of criteria that we need to have, and then we know we will be safe. We will be accepted. And so that self-acceptance is such a beautiful and important piece of being able to show up as your full, authentic, true self. Because if you're not accepting yourself, you will be trying to find that acceptance within other people and boxes. And so that's why self-acceptance is so important. And that also means that you need to feel and see all your parts, the light, the dark, the in-between, your triggers, what lights you up, what you want to explore. And those are all vital parts of who you are. And there's always more to explore because every time that you've been placed in a new environment, you learn more about yourself, right? And the art of this is to not keep your passion in, not to keep your words in, not to keep your questions in. Fully expressing yourself means that you get to be curious about life, ask questions, try different things, and make decisions for yourself. And I want to refer back to the previous episode where I talked about knowing what lights you up, because within your body, you can feel what is right and what isn't right. And in your body, you can feel when you want to speak up. In your body, you can feel if you want to move forward or take a step back. That's why it's so important to be tuned into our body when it comes to self-expression, because your body will tell you what you need to do for yourself to experience that growth or setting those boundaries so you can show up as your true self. You're not showing up as your true self if you're trying to be someone that someone else wants you to be so they can feel comfortable. So coming back to that second question of what kind of boxes are you still placed in? Personally, I feel like we are remembering who we really are instead of becoming our true self. I feel like we all know within ourselves, like perfectly who we really are. It's just about peeling back those layers of the things that are not truly us. That are those boxes that we've been placed in, or those labels that we might have been given as kids or as teenagers. Like, for example, being punk or being very bad at mathematics, or the one that always had a boyfriend or asked too many questions, was too noisy. Those are all labels, and you get to decide what is true and what isn't. Because we grow so much, and people can just place their opinions and their own shit onto you very easily, but it doesn't mean that it's true. So I personally used to believe all kinds of crap about what people had labeled me as. And there have been a lot of labels put on me. And so I kind of got really curious when trying to find out more about myself, but also because I just didn't want to believe some of those labels anymore because I felt within my soul that it wasn't true. And this is a beautiful place to start, to find discernment within yourself, to feel like what resonates and what doesn't, because you can feel if something is true or not. Someone might have made you believe that it's true, doesn't mean that it is true. I just walked a very different path than, for example, my sister, who is pretty fucking smart and has been studying all kinds of cool things. I just have not been doing that. I've been putting all my effort into getting my business off the ground, doing courses and stuff in different ways. But I used to have this label of not completing things that I started or not being smart. But that's bullshit. But I really had to tell myself that and see in which ways it wasn't true. And so being able to see that someone has put you in a box or society has put you in a box and seeing what resonates and what doesn't is going to help you see the truth. And so there's really just has to do with being able to look at what you think about yourself, to be conscious of what those thoughts are that are playing in your mind, and to prove to yourself that it isn't true. And so I know from experience that it isn't true because I've been able to get a few wonderful jobs that require like a diploma and stuff that I did not have, but I still got those jobs, right? So that proves something. And then I know that I have a lot of balls to start your own business like at 19 and figure it out by yourself. It doesn't mean that I'm dumb. That just means that I learned from doing and experiencing and asking questions and putting myself out there, right? So it doesn't mean anything. It's just the reference point of someone else who has gone on a different path than you that judges your path. And I'm not saying that it's just my sister. There were a few people who have this belief that you have to walk a certain path and able to be successful. But that isn't necessarily the truth, right? And so I just want to challenge you to look at your own beliefs to see like what those boxes might be that you have placed yourself in. And this is just an example, but I have 100 more of those. And that's why I love EFT. EFT is the emotional freedom technique that I use to rewrite my beliefs and those of my clients. And through EFT, you're able to really challenge yourself and challenge those beliefs and to see if you can let them go and choose a different kind of belief. And this is the way that I shift my beliefs. I just bring it to the surface. I become conscious of what the belief is that is kind of holding me back or isn't true, that I feel within myself that it isn't serving me. And then I make it neutral by naming it, and then I change it. And I change it into something empowering. I change it into something that is going to be helping me. So I've been able to really stop holding myself back in many areas. For example, I've really changed the feeling of not feeling good enough around, and to be able to show myself to other people, to really hone in on that self-acceptance, to be able to not be put in boxes because I know who I am, because I've let go of those boxes. And so now I recognize when someone else wants to place a label on me and it just doesn't feel right because I know who I am. And so it doesn't bother me as much. It's just, I just see the pattern and I can easily dismiss it and give it back to that other person because it's just what they believe, right? It's not the truth. It's also not fake. It's just their perception of me. And they can do with that what they want, but I know who I am, right? So if you want to check out my worthiness bundle, where I dive deeper into teaching you how to do this, how to feel more worthy, and I also help you with self-acceptance through EFT and a workshop and a meditation. It's really lovely. You can check it out in the description. So I want to talk to you about choosing the right people and attracting the right people. While you are accepting yourself more, you might also recognize who the people are that have been putting you in boxes and who don't resonate with you anymore. And through expressing yourself more, when you stop hiding yourself, this will truly come out. Because the people who are not ready to fully be themselves or to fully show up as their true selves are going to be triggered by you. And I've seen this happen time and time again. My friends who have also gone through this process have had the same experience where they are really stopping with hiding and truly just feeling more free and feeling their self-acceptance and to hone in more into their own truth, right? And not just follow what everyone else is doing or what they think they should do. And that triggers other people who are still kind of stuck in that pattern. And this is a normal thing that happens because we all mirror each other. And so we are just showing each other what is still wanting to heal within another. So if I'm triggering you by showing up, by speaking my truth, and you might feel like, oh, who is she to be talking about this? And what does she know, right? That might be a trigger. And so you can see this as a mirror as to, why are you triggered by me showing up as my true self, sharing my truth? Also, this is my truth, right? You don't have to take it on as a truth. This is just my perception. And so if you are feeling like, who is she to talk about this? What does she know? What is that telling you about you? Are you ready to really be honest with yourself about what your truth is? Are you ready to be in front of a camera or a microphone to share a podcast episode with other people? Are you ready for that? Is that something that you would really want to? Is that why you are triggered? Because I'm doing it and you would love to do it too. What am I mirroring to you? It's not about me. It's about what does it trigger within you. This is how we all trigger each other all the time. And this is what you are probably going to face or are already facing now that you have decided that you want to be more of yourself. And so the way that I have handled this is just to feel into who is resonating with me still, who can grow with me, and who can't. And the toughest lesson to learn here is that you should not stay where you are not celebrated because you're way too valuable to be neglected or for other people to be pushed around or to be taken for granted. You're way too awesome to be taken for granted. And that is what you will see. You will probably see who are the people who are still wanting you to be in this box, who are trying to contain you, to not share all of you. And that's okay. We can look at that with compassion, because it's just that you are a mirror and you are just mirroring something that they are not willing to see yet within them, which is the part of I wish that I felt free enough to be able to be myself as well. The most healing thing is when you are with people who have integrated this within themselves, who are truly free within themselves, who are truly accepting themselves as they are. And sure, we all go through phases, right? But if you are with people who are also truly accepting of themselves, it's such a game changer. It's a different type of connection. It's a different type of softness, of love, of friendship, of just being. I don't really have any words for it right now. It's just, and I've just recently found my people like that, and it just truly felt like coming home. And I know that I first had to come home to myself in order to come home with other people, because I just know what I need now. I just know what I resonate with, and that's how we met each other in that energy, right? If you're not compatible in that way, it's not going to click. But it makes such a difference. And so letting people go who are trying to put you in a box, who don't resonate with you, who you feel within your soul that are trying to put you in boxes that you don't want to be in, it's okay to let them go. And it can also be that they need time to adjust to your rawness, to your openness, to your expression. And what I've also seen happening is that I met people and they started to feel more open to share more of themselves as well, as I was also trying to figure this out. And that was a beautiful thing to witness, that we kind of grew alongside each other. We all go through different phases where we need different things, right? And there are people out there who are not expecting you to be one person. There are people out there who are ready to accept you in your full expression, but also through changing and explore more of yourself. It could be such a fun process. And I truly hope that you feel courageous enough and brave enough to show more sides of yourself, to be more vulnerable, because that's the way that your people are going to find you. I've gone through a season where I shed a lot of layers and I changed a lot, and that also meant that I had to change my circle around because it didn't resonate with me anymore. I tried to put it off for 2 years, but then it just felt like, okay, now is the time to let go, because it truly is not resonating anymore. And that was painful, but it was so necessary. And through that process, I also met myself. I also saw myself in a different light, because I started to meet new people, and those new people kind of reflected back to me who I had become through that changing process, right? And so it was really beautiful and weird and fun to see like who they thought that I was, because we all tend to put each other in boxes, right? And so that also happened with them. And it was strange and beautiful to see like how they saw me versus my old people. I also learned a lot from that, as well as I had become more integrated with this new version of myself, right? I started to change what I believed about myself, and that really translated within my confidence and speaking up for myself and trying new things. And that's kind of who they saw me as, right? I embodied those things more, and I saw it reflected back to me, and that was so needed, because I felt within myself how much I had changed, but I didn't really see that reflected back to me on the outside. But through meeting new people, I did, because they reflected it back to me. And so I think that that's also really important, right? And so it is an internal process, but then when you are ready to step out, I would highly recommend to stop hiding yourself and to show yourself little by little, as much as you're comfortable with, because that way you will find your people who truly resonate with you and who see your value, see your light. And I hope that you see your value, see your light, and that you are expressing that to the world as well. So I hope you know how valuable you are. I hope that you are accepting yourself with your light, your dark, and everything in the middle, and that you know that you are worthy of expressing yourself fully, and we will find you. The right people will find you. If you're looking for your people, start showing up as your true self, and the right people will come to you. Love you so much, and I speak to you soon. Bye.